G'day guys, and welcome to the channel. And today I thought I'd share with you a trip, one of our favourite little trips to a place called Kingsborough, which is here in Far North Queensland, only about 3 or 4 hours west of Cairns, and well worth the drive, especially if you enjoy historical mining sites and old mining towns and history and things like that. So come along, we're heading west from Dimbula at the moment. The road is unsealed and probably best for a four-wheel drive, especially once you get up here and you want to poke around some of the hills. Coming into Kingsborough itself, you do have to cross this little weir, and I wouldn't want to be towing anything much bigger than a camper van to get across there. So I've got two choices. Once you arrive there, you can camp at Kingsborough on one side of the river, or if you're like us, you go across to the other side of the river. And here's a little crossing that you have to do. This was in, when was it? May. So there was a bit of water in the creek, but quite easy, obviously quite easy to cross. I'm just keeping this footage running here because we were using a thing called a Zhiyun 4. I'll put a link to it. It's a little three-axis gimbal stabilizer for your smartphone, and this was a pretty rough little creek. And you can see how smooth the footage is just handheld as we go across the creek on the other side. You can see the caravan sitting very still while the car's really bouncing around. So that was a groovy little thing that we bought for travelling and getting footage on the smartphone. So I'll just try and remember the proper name. Here's our little pop top, and of course it's time for a cup of tea, which it just about always is. And now we're going to pop up and have a look at the campsite itself here at Kingsborough. That's the homestead there, the main building, and then actually it's quite busy at this time. In fact, yeah, that footage was taken at Easter time, I just remembered. And so this is looking up around the area from the Kingsborough camp up to actually the General Grant mine up in the distance there. This is the road coming into Kingsborough that we just travelled on. It's sort of hilly sort of country. This area here is part of where the old Kingsborough town was. There's not much there now in the bush, a few old bits of corrugated iron and so forth, but basically over a century has seen most of it all disappear into the bush or be taken away. Up on the hill just beyond the township here is the old General Grant mine. A beautiful, absolutely fantastic heritage listed site here in Queensland that we can go and visit, and thank goodness it's still there. It contains a winding shed which is constructed of heavy round timber uprights and corrugated iron, and it contains a winding engine and an intact Babcock boiler in a brick mount, and a compressor and an air receiver. And the boiler is equipped with a high steel chimney, which we'll see in a minute. You can just see it sort of poking through the roof there, but these days it's got a terrible lean on it, as you'll see shortly. And I guess one day, sadly, the old chimney will give way and take half the building with it, which is a real shame, but I don't know what impetus there is to try and save it these days. But at the moment it's a wonderful sight to behold, and a great place to be able to step back into some mining history in Queensland here. I just love seeing this plant, and just imagine the noise and the activity that was going on here. This is around Easter time, but of course these blokes would have been working through the heat of North Queensland summers, and it must have been absolutely terrible some days with the heat and the conditions here. Of course, we drive up with our air-conditioned cars and ice cold fridges and all the rest of it these days, and it's great to think back at the hardships that people endured in order to well, try and make a quid out of mining. There's the old chimney, you can see that lean on it. She's just pushing through. I think it's really just the corrugated iron that's holding it at the moment. And Let's just have a look around, eh? I think the main shaft ended up going down over 200 metres. I'm not sure if we spot it here. Yeah, we do actually. It's just in front here. And I think most of it's, the top of it's collapsed, but that's as far as I was prepared to go, just leaning over with the little gimbal there. But anyway, after that bit of a trip, we thought we'd head up to another wonderful place. It's not far from Kingsborough, probably about half an hour's drive, and that is the Mt Mulligan historic site, another town. This town's got a lot more historic ruins and things inside, including this wonderful stack here, just lying at the foothills of Mt Mulligan itself. And what a great thrill it is to be able to fly the drone way up over the top of the chimney here and have a look at something that probably only the eagles have seen for many years. And it's absolutely stunning to come home and watch this footage on the big screen. I hope you enjoy it as well. Mt Mulligan, of course, was the site, or is the site of, I think Queensland's, if not Australia's, worst ever mining disaster. I think it was 1921 when the coal mine at the foot of the mountains here exploded, killing 75 men pretty much in an instant. The explosion was heard from miles and miles around, and of course the devastation and the absolute sadness and tragedy of it all resonates today still. And it's one of the reasons, apart from its natural beauty, it's apparent here, that Mt Mulligan really has a place in the heart of many visitors, Australians and tourists alike. It's an absolutely magical place. As I say, only a few hours west of Cairns, so make sure you come and have a look. And that's pretty much the end of this trip. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.